In this video on our series of software development, we look in more detail at different forms of testing. Any non-trivial program needs to be tested to make sure it works as intended. To fully test a solution, developers need to adopt several different testing strategies. The most common are black box testing, white box testing, alpha and beta testing. So let's look at black box testing. This is not concerned with how the program works. Black box testing simply checks whether an input produces the expected output. In this example, if we input 5, we expect the output to be 10. As long as that is the case, the test passes. Any other output results in a fail. With black box testing, code efficiency is not important as long as the inputs return the desired outputs. Ideally, black box testing involves checking every possible input to a program. If all inputs produce the desired outputs, we can be satisfied the program works in all cases. However, this is not always feasible. Imagine a simple calculator program that adds two integers together. There's an infinite number of integers, but we cannot run an infinite number of tests. Instead, we would choose appropriate test data to cover a range of situations. White box testing involves testing the algorithms in the code and making sure all parts of those algorithms function as intended. It focuses on identifying and testing all the possible paths of execution through a program. On each test run, the path of execution is noted, so it can be compared with other runs. Unlike black box testing, white box testing is also checking the overall efficiency and therefore quality of the code. Alpha and beta testing are carried out when software is nearly ready for release and can be tested as a complete solution. Alpha and beta testing apply especially to commercial software such as computer games. When the product is almost ready for release, companies often want a wider community audience to test the product out. The only difference between the two is when they take place and who performs the testing. Alpha testing typically occurs first and is limited to internal employees and their friends and family. It's often a very early version of the finished software, quite rough around the edges and may still contain a number of bugs. Beta testing is usually opened up to a much wider community through a public beta program. The program is in an almost finished state. Developers are looking to test areas such as load balancing and multiple hardware compatibility. Acceptance testing is a critical phase in software development that ensures the software aligns with the user's need and the business requirements. It is formal testing conducting according to users' needs or their requirements and business processes. The ultimate goal here is to determine whether the system satisfies the acceptance criteria and whether it is acceptable for delivery. Acceptance testing occurs after most other forms of testing are complete, but before making the system available for actual use. For acceptance testing to be effective, there are a few challenges to consider. User participation. We have an active involvement of our users, and this is crucial. Feedback collection. Gathering feedback can be time-consuming. And balancing requirements, ensuring the system meets the needs of both the business and the end users. Having watched this video, you should be able to answer the following key questions. What are the features of the different ways a program can be tested? And what is acceptance testing? So that's all you need to know for the exam. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about the scope of testing, pop your pen down and watch the rest of this video. So the only forms of testing officially mentioned in the specification is acceptance testing, but there are many others like the ones we've mentioned in this video. As for what other forms of testing would be carried out, that would depend on the size and nature of the problem being solved.